Greetings, everyone. Hello, this is Cherie with Divine Light Codes. I'm your host of today's show, The Divine Lunch Hour, and also the host of the Ascension Sessions. I'm so excited about our show today. I have a really special guest all the way from my home state of Florida who's going to be sharing his amazing healing technologies with us today. And before I get started, I just wanted to share with you his website because you guys, what's so cool about today's show is that you get 15 days of free quantum healing. I mean, that's unheard of. So I'm just going to go ahead and throw up his website on the banner right now so you can kind of check it out, or at least pull up a tab on your web browser or your mobile device if you're watching on a phone. And I'm just going to bring on our guest today. His name is Tom Paladino of scalarlight.com. Hi, Tom. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Sherry. Great to be here, Cherie. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, it's wonderful. I love how we got introduced. Actually, Joan of Angels reached out to me and asked me if I might be interested in having you on the show. And as I learned more about your work using scalar light technology and doing quantum healing, I just found it so fascinating because I'm an energy healer and I work with quantum energy as well. It's a modality called quantum psionics, and it's, we're like two sides of the same coin. We just we use different technologies. I use my body and you use a beautiful device that you've engineered and designed. So I can't wait to get more into your work and how you got started. And instead of, me reading to the audience, I would love it if you could just share a little bit about your background and how you got into this, like what drove you to get into scalar wave technology and healing people.
Thank you for the invitation again, Cherie. It's a
You're so
pleasure to be
welcome.
here. And we are kindred spirits. We realize that energy is divine. It's from the creator. It's divine. Well, I work with what is called scalar energy. It's the energy of the sun and the stars. Some people might use synonymous terms such as chi or prana or consciousness. This is the divine energy of the stars. That's where the energy from the light of the universe originates from, the stars. Well, how did I get into this? The first person that I know of that harnessed the energy of the stars was the scientist Nikola Tesla. Now, he did that as an engineering feat. Nikola Tesla had scalar energy instruments or star instruments, call it what you will. And this is over 100 years ago. Tesla was able to harness that star energy with his instrumentation and perform incredible feats. The work potential behind these instruments was just incredible. When I read that at a very young age, I knew he was onto something. I knew that this was a new science in the making. And indeed, I've followed that path, if you will, throughout my life. And today I have those engineered instruments. I have star instruments or scalar energy instruments. They are engineered to harness that primal force from the stars. This is a new and emerging science, and we'll explore what you can do with this star energy. It's quite promising. I'm every month that goes by, and I discover a greater number, a range of applications with this instrument. I'm enthralled that we're entering into a new era of the free energy of the stars. That's where we're going with this.
Absolutely. And that's what's so cool about it is, when I work with healing clients, I'm calling in God source energy or the grand central sun, which is ultimately a star. It's star energy and divine light codes that, as human beings, we're electrical beings and we carry frequencies and we carry our own light codes. And somehow you've managed to harness that into a device, similar to Nicholas Tesla, I assume, or at least you learned from his beginnings of his scientific studies. And I'd love to hear more about why you want to heal people. Like, why did you feel called to do this?
I am a humanitarian at heart. I want to help people, and I think that this type of technology is going to help mankind to a significant degree. I want to see the
Mhm,
world change for the better. And one of the
mhm,
tools for world improvement is technology when used appropriately. Now, I look back at Tesla's career. He was quite the humanitarian. He not only was an engineering genius, but he was a humanitarian. And
mhm,
most of his inventions, most of his discoveries, he just bequeathed them to mankind. He did not ask for remuneration. A real humanitarian, not only a mystic, not only an engineer, but a true humanitarian.
If I recall, Tesla's intentions were more around providing free energy to the world, right? Not so much the healing capacities of scalar light or scalar wave technology. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's correct.
Mhm,
So you only can do so much, and so I give him all the credit in the world. He was
mhm,
really, if you will, focused on providing a free or relatively inexpensive energy paradigm. To the contrary, I work with my instruments to provide quantum healing to the world. So Tesla
mhm,
wanted free energy for the world. I want healing. I want quantum healing for the world, meaning energy healing for the world. And I can do that on account of the fact that there's no expensive infrastructure to purchase. What am
mhm.
I getting at? My instrument works hand in hand with the universe. I don't need satellites or cell phone towers. I don't need telephone poles. I don't need substations. This is free energy that you can broadcast anywhere in the universe.
So I was going to save this question for later, Tom, but since we're on kind of on this topic, question one is why has it taken 100 years or over 100 years for this technology to kind of come back into the light? And how do you think companies like Pac Bell, PG&E, and SRP are gonna, feel about ushering this new technology, this new free energy or 0 point devices that we all have our God-given rights to have and start using?
Again, Tesla over 100 years ago successfully demonstrated that he could capture the energy of the stars, its radiant energy, as he called it, and he could power a motor or he could perform a work function with this free ambient energy. That was over 100 years ago. So it's not only a theory, but in practice, he was successful. I'm successful, at least in practice, by working with photographs and being able to work with people or animals around the world by way of photographs. So this is
Mhm,
indeed is a true science. It's valid. It's now we're going on 100 years, and we're saying to ourselves, why isn't this mainstream by suppression? If Tesla had such great results, and if I'm having such great results, why isn't this mainstream news? If
mhm,
it offers mankind such a benefit, why aren't we seeing this more in the mainstream news? And it's because of suppression, because free energy would be an intimidation to the monopolies. By offering the world free energy or relatively inexpensive energy, the uh, the energy monopoly would start to crumble. It's that simple.
right. Have you had any pushback or any experiences with anything in that realm?
I've had a few government agencies look at me, but what I'm doing is perfectly legal, and frankly, it's out of their bailiwick. They don't understand what I'm doing. So
Mhm,
what I'm
mhm,
doing is morally correct, and it's legal on account of the fact that no legal body wants to identify a free energy device. You see, if government or big business ever said, yes, that's a free energy device and it should be regulated, then that would open up, if you will, a sexist inquiries as to why that's free energy and why would government and big business try and suppress that. So for right now, government and big business want to ignore this.
mhm. Yeah, absolutely. And so when I was reading your website or, some of the information you shared with me, I thought you did such a wonderful job of explaining what scalar waves are and um, how it's all around us. Can you speak a little bit about that, please?
Yeah, sure. Now, you cannot think of this energy in terms of electricity or magnetism. We're not working with electromagnetic energy. Secondly, scalar energy is spirit energy. It's non-physical. So this energy that propagates through the atmosphere from all the stars, it blankets the universe. So this energy is everywhere. It essentially transcends time and space. Now, putting that together, you realize that doesn't fit the definition of electricity or magnetism. So we need a new understanding of science. This is a new field of physics. So in a nutshell, scalar energy from the sun and the stars blankets the universe. It's non-physical. It
Mhm,
carries it carries what I would call information. It carries intelligence. That's the key element here.
mhm,
This energy carries some type of instructions. And once you understand that, you understand the very quintessence of this energy. It instructs the universe. That's what scalar energy does. We can instruct the universe with this energy.
mhm. And with all of the onslaught of 5G, technology and Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, I mean, we're all just being bombarded with these other waves of energy and that are not necessarily good for the human DNA and the human
Right.
body, if you will. And I guess there's been some scientific research to prove that 5G can penetrate the brain blood barrier. Have you heard that as well?
Yes, yes, I have. I've also heard that, and I've read various studies that there's emerging evidence that 5G, if you're in the vicinity of 5G for an extended period of time, will cause some type of cellular damage. Will
Mm,
could lead to some type of a genetic manipulation, or could to the point of contributing to fatigue or other types of medical conditions. So, what are we saying? 5G in the form of electromagnetic radiation is proving to be harmful. Now, we've
mhm,
proven that with the cell phones, that if people hold a cell phone to the ear continuously, that could lead to some type of manipulation for a brain tumor to develop. We realize that some people cannot live under high tension wires because those high tension wires likewise contribute to some type of physical disability. Well, now this is true of 5G and those 5G towers and cell phone towers per se. It's a great deal of energy. And some of those frequencies are inimical to human health. So sadly, we have to revisit this and we have to start asking ourselves to what extent of 5G and how what are the long-term health consequences being in the vicinity of a great deal of 5G radiation?
mhm. Yeah, and I feel like when they pushed it out so quickly. I even went to like city town hall meetings back in my California hometown, and you know, all of us hippies were there like protesting and going up to speak about the harmful, waves of 5G technology. And I remember all the representatives from, I think it was Verizon at the time. They were like, "No, no, no, nothing's been proven. This isn't harmful. There's no date. There's no scientific data to back that up." Well, how can you prove something that isn't in existence yet? I mean, it was just rolling out, so they didn't have the full ramifications of
Of course not.
what it's going to do to us.
Of course not. They gave you the brush off.
Hmm.
Sure, it might be a relatively new technology that you're introducing to the general population. That doesn't mean that it's going to be safe for the general population. You could have said that about Roundup when they first came out with Roundup.
Right.
Obviously, I as my personal druthers, I don't want to be around Roundup. I don't use Roundup. So
Hmm.
we've learned from our mistakes. And what is my point? The evidence is coming out. It's quite telling. When you're in the
Yes.
vicinity of 5G towers for a prolonged period of time, we see corresponding medical issues.
Yes, and I think there are some of the employees that work on those towers that can only work on them for 5 minutes at a time because of the health dangers.
Yeah,
So, I think that's really telling as well.
I think so.
So let's talk about some of the positive benefits of your technology. Can you speak about some of the diseases that people come to you with and say, "Hey, Tom, can you heal this or that?" What have you seen success with?
Okay, so before I get into that, when I work with people, I want to make this very clear. I'm working in the quantum field and I work with photographs.
Hmm.
I'm a scalar energy researcher, and my instrument works hand in hand with a photograph of a person. I don't work with people. So, this is a new type of healing. It's, if you will, etheric healing or quantum healing, in which a photograph has a signature. My photograph has a signature, and I actually would place my photograph inside the instrument, excuse me, and there would be quantum healing. Any photograph has a signal. Okay, so put that into motion.
Hmm.
I've developed a technique with scalar energy in which I'm able to pinpoint, if you will, with accuracy through a photograph, a microbe. A scalar energy instrument can look at a photograph and can identify the presence of a germ, a virus, a bacterium, etc. So when I'm working in the information field, I only identify the quantum field. I don't identify the physical presence, I identify the energy signature. And I could
Hmm.
do that very easily, say, with the Epstein Barr virus. Now, I'll explain. If I were to take a photograph of the Epstein Barr virus, place it inside my instrument, side by side my photograph, there's a sharing of information inside my instrument. The energy or the signature of Epstein Barr is identified, and the instrument would allow me, if I had Epstein Barr, for the instrument for the energy to identify the presence of Epstein Barr in me in my quantum field energetically, and then break
Hmm.
the Epstein Barr virus apart. So a scalar energy instrument works with information only. It's not a biological process. We're working in the etheric field, the spiritual field, in
Hmm.
which we look for the signature of Epstein Barr in a person. And if that person has the Epstein Barr virus, the instrument will identify Epstein Barr and eradicate it. Will actually break down the molecular bonds of Epstein Barr. All of that is done by way of the scalar energy paradigm. It's an information paradigm.
Very fascinating. Yes. So with my work as well, like when people come to me for healing. Usually it's emotions, but it could be physical things as well. I can even do healings without the person present. Why? Because everything is energy and frequency, right? And so, in the great container of our existence, every single thing has an energy signature. And so we're all one. And so our bodies know what peppermint does, like peppermint essential oil, because that peppermint essential oil's healing properties are encoded with frequency and codes, right? So if you think of us all like in this big melting pot, our bodies already know how that peppermint essential oil can heal us. It can help with headaches. It can help cool you off. It can help clear brain fog. It can help, um, you know, suppressing your emotions so that you can perform really well in an interview. Like peppermint has all these incredible um, healing properties, not to like change the subject completely, but I think it's related because what we're saying is that everything has energy, frequency, and vibration, and a divine light code, and our bodies innately know what to do with these healing codes that you're transmitting through your
Right.
device, which
Right.
like it knows how to receive them, I guess.
Well, thank you. What you're calling a code, I call a photograph. Now, what's a
Yeah.
photograph? It's coded with energy. Now,
Right.
whether these are the codes that you're speaking of through your light process, or whether it's a code on a photograph that details the molecular code of the Epstein Barr virus, it's still energy and information. So we are information practitioners. I don't
Mhm.
work with people. I'll speak for myself. I only work with photographs of people, and I can send information. Now, why do I like that? Because information is fundamental. Light, energy is fundamental. Light never makes a mistake. So when I program my instrument, I program it within that capacity to send information as a transference, as an administration of light, and I can guarantee the outcome on the informational plane. And I hope that that will produce some type of healing.
Mhm.
Now, it's a new science. Again, this obviously is not a biochemical reaction, it's an informational instruction. It's instructions, it's
Mhm.
informational in character.
And I heard you say in some of your previous interviews that, this quantum energy, scalar wave energy cannot be quantified. It cannot be measured.
Right.
And so what kinds of tests have you done to show successful, outcomes, I
Yeah.
guess?
Many people come to us, and for instance, if somebody has the Epstein-Barr virus, I will
Mhm.
work through their photograph, and then I ask them two things. After I work through their photograph, do you feel better? And secondly, if they do, I encourage them to get a PCR test, a polymerase chain reaction test, so the person can prove it to themselves. Now, after I work with people, invariably, if somebody wants to follow up with a polymerase chain reaction test, used in molecular biology, invariably those test results are negative. There's no viral load for Epstein-Barr.
Hmm.
And that convinces many people that we have had a successful informational session. Now consider that Epstein-Barr is deemed to be incurable. Once you have it for life. There is no per se process, there is no drug that can eradicate Epstein-Barr. But according
Mhm.
to many of the people that I've worked with over the years, they tell me they no longer have any symptoms of Epstein-Barr virus, and their PCR test, the result is negative, no viral load for Epstein-Barr.
That's incredible. That's fantastic. And there's so many other diseases like that, right? Like Lyme's disease, they say is incurable, lupus,
Sure,
I'm
sure.
sure there's others.
Sure. I work with so many different types of viruses, bacteria, fungi, protozoan. In total, my library, I have a library, if you will, of over 400,000 photographs of microbes. And
Mhm.
in so doing, I can potentially identify and eradicate on the information plane over 400,000 species of microbes. Now,
Wow.
as you mentioned, what microbial disease? What causes microbial disease, and what are the some of the diseases you could rattle off? Sure, Epstein-Barr causes sometimes Hashimoto's syndrome. The Epstein-Barr virus will attack the thyroid. Lyme disease is caused by a bacterium. We see that malaria is caused by a protozoan. Obviously, the entire herpes family of viruses, herpes 1, genital herpes, herpes 2. We've even had good success with people with HIV. I've worked with many people around the world who've had HIV, a viral load for HIV. After
Mhm.
we work with them, 3, 4, 5 months later, people tell me that they feel better and that if they have a follow up PCR test, there's no viral load for HIV.
Wow. And how long is it usually recommended, or how long does it take for, um, clients to notice a huge difference in these particular viruses like herpes or, Epstein-Barr, for example?
I would say within the first month, within the first 30 days.
Oh,
Sherry,
wow.
yeah, first 30 days, Sherry,
That
people feel better. And if they have
that's
to go on
incredible.
for 2 or 3 months, that's sure they do that. Now,
Mhm.
why do I say that? Why am I so convinced? Well, I've worked with tens of thousands, frankly, millions of people around the world. I see the test results. And when you're working with energy, keep in mind there's no impediment. There, nothing can block the energy. So every day that I work with a person's photograph, I achieve my goal. And the
Mhm.
goal is to send these healing codes into the photographic plane or into the what we call the quantum field. I don't have to worry about diet. I don't have to worry about exercise. There's no such thing as a drug. There's no contraindication for scalar energy. So when you're
Mhm.
working on the fundamental plane, it works and it works quickly.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. That's great that they can start to see results in 30 days. And so you're offering 15 days for free so people can try it out and see if they notice a difference or not, which is fantastic because there's a lot of new scalar technology coming onto the market. I'm sure you've heard of like Centropics and some of the others. I don't even know the names, but I know there's a lot of them out there. These devices that you can either wear or have in your home. Um, and many of those do not allow you to try them out for 15 days for free. So that's fantastic. Have you done any research into any of those other devices? And do you have any thoughts on them?
I've not, but let me add to that. You're absolutely right. This is a new and emerging science. You're going to hear more and more about scalar waves, scalar energy. Finally, the world is realizing that there's two energies. Finally, the world is realizing the great work of Nikola Tesla.
Hmm.
And I say to people, you really just have to explore these matters, try them out. If it's safe, and you feel that there's no downside here, try it out. This is why I offer everybody in the world 15 days of free sessions. It's safe, it's energy from the stars, so
Hmm.
try it out. People, we have to broach the subject. Yes, this is new. Yes, this is groundbreaking. No, I don't think anybody in the world, this is one of my instruments, I don't think anybody in the world is working with these types of instruments. They're custom built. So, in
Hmm.
order to prove this to the general population, I want to give away free sessions, and I want people to feel comfortable with those free sessions.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So I was watching some of your other videos and it looks like a sink, right? It's like this big rectangular container.
Yeah,
And do you just put the photos in there every day or,
that's
swap
correct.
them out every 15 days?
We call that a drop-down well or an analyzer, and I literally in one day, in 1 hour, I could place millions of photographs of people in this receptacle that you just described. So, what am
Mhm.
I getting at? A scalar energy instrument will treat people simultaneously. So I not only treat just one person at a time, I can treat thousands of people at a time with miniaturized photographs. Now,
Right.
keep in mind, this is an energy process. And if a satellite can send out millions of signals to cell phones, then I have a satellite, so to speak, a scalar energy satellite, in which I can send out signals to millions of people through the quantum plane, through their photograph.
Mhm.
So we're leaving behind the physical world, which is slow, and we're going into the non-physical world of information, of intention, and the
Yes.
yeah, the potential here is just, it's so far reaching.
I mean, it's phenomenal. And,
It is.
it's funny that you work with photographs because, a lot of times when you work with a psychic or a healer and it's remote, they'll be like, do you have a photograph? They want to see the person. And what are they working with? They're working with energy and intention. I mean, that's what we're doing, right? We're working with energy and intention and codes. So, it makes sense to me. Hopefully it makes sense to the people watching this interview because it's really the future and it's really where
Yes.
we're headed, I think, as a species and as we move into um, less and less invasive surgeries and technologies that we have in today's modern medicines.
I want to give the audience a few everyday circumstances of scalar energy in action. There was a scientist, his name is Emoto. He was able to think or
Mhm.
project energy into water, and he
Right.
would observe beautiful crystalline patterns upon that water. Now, this is all done by way of prayer or intention. So you can actually change the molecular form of water, or give it a different appearance by way of energy, by way of your intuition or a prayer or a thought. So, what's the
Mhm.
point? Thought, prayer, intuition, that all is scalar energy. You can think and have an influence on a cup of water, giving notion to the fact that scalar energy is thought or prayer or intuition. So don't think that this is esoteric, people. It is not. Everybody has a mind, and your mind is a great example of a scalar energy instrument, a scalar energy vessel. Every
Hmm.
thought that you have is a scalar wave. Creativity. How is it that some people are so creative? It's a scalar energy gift. Now, putting that into motion, scalar energy, thought, intention, consciousness, prayer, meditation, all of that, those are synonymous terms or synonymous functions. This is where we're going now. We're going to the realm of thought, and to be able to control thought, because consciousness is above the physical plane, it's going to be
Hmm.
so much easier to perform these work functions on the non physical plane as opposed to the physical plane that we're on now.
Right. Absolutely. And do you have any plans or hopes for creating a free energy device since you're kind of already creating technology?
You're right. If God gives me the wisdom, I will be able to illuminate a building at a distance. I'll be able to illuminate buildings 1,000 miles away. Now, Tesla was able to do that. I'm trying to retrace his steps. I'm trying to read his notes and understand how he did that, but it's been done. And Tesla was able to broadcast wireless energy, scalar energy, free energy from the stars at a distance and illuminate light bulbs. Well, I have to, in many ways, just copy what he did, or ask God to give me the wisdom. Is it possible? Yes, Tesla did it already. Imagine what free energy would do for mankind, Cherie.
Hmm.
It would liberate us.
Absolutely.
You know,
It would completely liberate us.
we're in an energy crisis. We're slaves to the
Hmm.
monopolies.
Hmm. Absolutely.
Well,
Yeah, and I feel like we're at the precipice of that mass awakening. So many people are waking up right now to all the, falsities in this system that we've accepted for the past thousands of years. And as we begin to awaken, I think that free energy is one of the things that's really going to shift the power balance of the way people are, in fact, slaves. I mean, we have to go to work to put a roof over our head. We have to go to work to feed our children. If that's not slavery, I don't know what it is.
no, I agree
So
with you.
thank you for mentioning that because I wasn't going to touch on that today, but it's an
Yeah,
important
ha-
point and where we are as a society right
yeah.
now.
Had we have listened to Nikola Tesla, we would have had scalar energy instruments, scalar energy machines doing our work for us. Now,
Hmm.
I'd rather have a machine working 10 hours a day and let the machine do the work than I would have to do the work. Well, today, sadly, I still have to work 10 hours a day. So I want to reintroduce Tesla's system in which machines do the work, not people. And then we will be liberated.
Hmm. Well, it seems that we're headed that way now with all of the onslaught of AI that's coming out. And so, how do you feel about that balance?
It,
There's a
that,
lot of fear around that as well.
that's another topic. AI, artificial intelligence. Well, it's like any invention, it has to be used judiciously. You've got to be prudent about this. And so let's hope that those who are working with these systems and programming these systems have what I call
Hmm.
guardrails. They have a sense of morality. They have guardrails as what they're going to be able to program these computers to do. Now, if we've gotten to the point that obviously a computer can think on its own, and this is how advanced this has become. And some people will extrapolate that this artificial intelligence will no longer be able to be controlled. It will no longer be in the control or dominion of man. Well, I
Hmm.
don't know where we're going, but if that's the case in the years to come, then we have to put those guardrails up now so that these supercomputers do not start thinking without our permission.
Right.
It's
Yeah,
that simple.
I read something in the news a couple of weeks ago that I think it was Elon Musk or the heads of all these tech companies in Silicon Valley were saying like, "Hey guys, can we all just take a step back and put some safety parameters in place before this AI explosion happens?" Because they were realizing that with the invention of things like Chat GPT, everyone's using it. It's like the Wild West right now, and there aren't enough safety protocols in place. So I was really pleased to see that they said, hey guys, let's take a step back and let's put some safety parameters and ethical parameters into this technology. So we definitely need that.
There has to be. 50 years ago, nobody would wear a seatbelt when driving a car. 50 years ago,
Right.
it was just, airbags. Why do we need to protect ourselves? Well, now it's common sense. You need to protect yourself. You need some type of guardrails. You need some type of governor. The point being here, where will AI go? Well, under responsible stewardship, it will help humanity. We'll see. Time will tell.
Right, right. So, Tom, would you like to share some of your most memorable healing success stories? Are
Yes,
there any couple stories you can share with the audience about
uh,
that
we're
really stand out?
we're so happy. I'm holding up a photograph of a clinic. This is Om Prakash HIV/AIDS clinic in Delhi, India. And this group, over 5,000 people have submitted their photograph to me. Now,
Wow.
everybody in this photograph at one time was HIV positive. The founder of the group, he's in the center, his name is Sahil. At one time, he had HIV for about 13 years. He was HIV positive.
Hmm.
After Sahil and his fellow participants emailed me their photograph, I worked through their photograph. I was able to identify the HIV virus and eradicate it through their photograph. This is the quantum plane. Then I had to wait for the results, and the results are everybody's feeling better. Now, Sahil, the founder of this group, had a follow up PCR test, and the
Hmm.
PCR test is negative. There's no viral load. Actually, here's his viral load. This is his follow up PCR test. After being HIV positive for 13 years, there's no viral load.
Wow, that's phenomenal.
And, and, he's,
That's
and, he,
incredible.
and he's never had a viral load since. He's gained weight, and he went on to tell 5,000 people at his clinic at participate in this. We treat them for free. It's pro bono. Now, this clinical study, although it's not following the medical model because this is not medicine. How do you judge a successful outcome on a photograph? Well, you can't
Hmm.
by Newtonian physics. This is not Newtonian physics. But nonetheless, the body of evidence are the PCR tests, in which people no
Right.
longer have a viral load. That's the body of evidence for scalar energy. That's the only thing that I can offer right now. Okay, and once again, this has never been done before. My instruments are unique. So, to put this into motion, 5,000 people tell me that they no longer have a viral load for HIV. The word is getting out in Delhi, India. People continue to send us photographs. We're continuing to treat people who are HIV positive. And
Hmm.
with these good results that continue to unfold month after month, I don't think you're going to be able to suppress this much longer.
Yeah, that's incredible. And I don't know enough about, science to know this. So I'll ask you, when you take a PCR test, it's testing you in that moment, right? So can
Right.
you take a PCR test a month later and then have a different result with viruses? Or is it
Yes,
that, you can?
you're right. You're right. To put this into motion, every time you take a PCR test, it's where you stand at that moment.
Okay.
What your viral load would be during that day of that moment. Here's another example. I'll give the audience. A friend of a friend was HIV positive for years. I
Hmm.
treated this individual, and after I worked with this individual who was HIV positive for at least 10 years, the individual had 3 follow-up PCR tests, and each test was negative, no viral load. And the third time this individual had the PCR test, he conferred with his attending physician, and his physician said, "There's nothing more I can do for you. You've had 3 consecutive test results that show you
Hmm.
have no viral load whatsoever." Okay, this individual wanted to be sure that he was HIV undetectable. Now,
Hmm.
since then, this is what's really pertinent. This individual has gained weight. This individual, the eyesight has improved, and this individual has a greater mental clarity. Now, many times when I work with people who are once HIV positive, if you can if you can eradicate the HIV virus, I've seen this in people, they gain weight. Many
Yeah.
times, HIV or to the extent of AIDS is known as the wasting disease. Well, if you remove the HIV virus, they gain weight. And invariably, this is what's happening with many people around the world. Out of the
Mhm.
blue, they started to gain weight. Now, put all of that into motion. Again, this is a new science, and I'll let the audience come to their conclusion.
Yeah. Well, and in India, that's a sign of health for sure, because I remember I went to India in 2001 and, you know, I guess when I arrived, I was heavier than when I left. And I saw some people at the beginning of my trip and at the end of my trip, and they were like, "You lost weight. Are you okay?" They thought I was ill. And it was because I was walking everywhere, for 4 months.
Yeah.
So, gaining weight is definitely a sign of health. So that's wonderful. But I'm just, sharing that over there, I think it's even more important to them
Yeah,
as well.
I'd love to visit India. I've never been there, but maybe someday
Yeah.
the group at Om Prakash will invite me out. I'd love to visit them.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. It's definitely everyone should go to India at least once in their lifetime. So everyone who's watching, if you guys haven't already, please subscribe to this YouTube channel so we can bring you more content like this. And please also check out Tom's website at scalarlight.com. And just so you know, we do have a live chat room where you guys can ask Tom any questions that you have. So if you're joining us from YouTube or Facebook or Rumble, please put any questions that you might have for Tom in the chat room. We'd love to hear from you.
Thank you.
Okay, wonderful. Well, this has been an amazing interview so far, and I think you've answered most of my questions, Tom. But are there any other success stories you want to share, or anything specific that we haven't covered yet
Let,
about
let
this
me let
healing?
me let me delve deep into the psychological state, the spiritual state. If this is divine energy, I believe it is, and so do
Hmm.
you. You believe that these are divine light codes. Many times when I work with these instruments, people say they have a different perspective. Some people say that it helps them with depression or anxiety. Some people say it just gives them like an emotional boost or a spiritual boost, an uplift in life.
Hmm.
So I'm going to go to the contention that scalar energy, an instrument, will rebalance their brain waves, which are scalar energy waves, and that everybody has 7 chakras. So I'm sure you've visited this topic many times. Chakras are real; they spin.
Hmm.
Why?
Right.
Because scalar energy spins. So if I'm working with a scalar energy instrument, that waveform, that spinning waveform, will realign, will respin or reprogram, call it what you will, our 7 chakras.
Hmm.
So perhaps, if not the most important thing that I'm doing with this instrument, I'm working at the spiritual plane, at the emotional plane. That scalar energy, these instructions from my instrument will reprogram the mind or reprogram the 7 chakras. That's so important to latch on to and to realize. So the divine energy, the divine intelligence from my instrument will once again reprogram our mind with uplifting thoughts. We'll reprogram our 7 meridians. We've seen this in so many people. Some people go as far as to say that they no longer are addicted to cigarettes or alcohol. Well, that's beyond my ability. Obviously, I'm just working through their photographs. So something
Hmm.
happened to their conscious that they no longer have an addiction or they no longer have a phobia.
Wow. Yeah. Well, it's energy work. I mean, you're working with all the bodies, right? We've got the etheric body, the astral body, the energy body, the physical body, the mental body, and you're working with all of them. So when you're in fact doing a chakra balancing session, you're clearing any debris or negative energies that may have gotten stuck in those energy centers and helping them to spin fully and come back online in their highest frequency. So everything is frequency. Like the work that I do, I can measure a person's emotional frequency, their physical frequency, their general frequency, their frequency around specific emotions like fear, love, hate, anger. And so basically the lower our frequency is, the more stuck we are. You could say that those energy centers are not spinning correctly. So
Yep.
it's like I can pinpoint it with a pendulum and just show like, oh, this chakra's out of balance or that chakra's out of balance. So it's pretty cool that you've incorporated the chakra balancing into your system, which, by the way, everyone, I started receiving my scalar light energy sessions from Tom this morning. I signed up for his free 15 days, and I noticed that the chakra balancing was in there. So thank you for bringing that up, because I did want to touch on that today.
You're welcome. So we see now how this non-physical energy instructions downloading into our chakras, and those chakras, many people believe, will influence and instruct the endocrine system, our parasympathetic system, etc. Will be
Mm-hmm.
responsible for our circadian rhythm. Well, many people go as far as to say the chakra balancing has improved their imagination, their creativity, or their dream state. They can recall their dream. Well, I'm not a dream specialist, but a scalar energy blast of energy reprogramming allows people to have a deep, profound sleep state now. So
Mm-hmm.
that's part of the re-instructing that you and I we thrive on. This is what we want.
Right.
Energy is instructive and it's therapeutic. And we're seeing that even with people's dream states. Now they're having a dream therapy by way of scalar energy.
Wow. That's what that says to me, is that their third eye is probably getting cleaned out, like all the calcium deposits and buildups are getting cleared out, because when our third eye is open, we can have more lucid dreaming and therefore dream recall. Because I don't know about you, but when I have lucid dreams, I usually remember them the next day, especially if they're kind of in the morning hours of sleeping, or sometimes they'll even wake me up, like, because they're so lucid, they're so vivid. I'm like, and there's always like a really important message in there. So a lot of people get their divinity, their divine wisdom and inner knowing through their dreams.
Yes.
So someone might be asking, well, why is it important to remember our dreams or to have lucid dreaming? Because as you embark upon your awakening journey, dreaming messages might be the way you start hearing from your higher self or God source energy. That might be the way you start getting guidance from your guides, your spiritual guides. So I think it's very important, as you start to get in touch with yourself on your spiritual path. So thank you for mentioning that as well. I was
And
trying to look for, I have a chart that shows all the different bodies in the aura, and I would love to share it with the audience if I can find it.
I don't. I've seen sometimes photographs, Kirlian photographs of people, and sometimes those Kirlian photographs are so accurate they show the aura system. They show the seven chakras. So what is my point? Well, this is not the electromagnetic spectrum. When we're working with the scalar energy spectrum, we can actually reprogram the aura, the spirit, the seven chakras. Perhaps that's the most important thing that I do with a scalar energy instrument. The chakra balancing, the what I call the spiritual or emotional rebalancing. It's endless. Scalar energy has an infinite uh, uh, a degree of range, so to speak. It has infinite intelligence, and hence the possibilities are infinite. This is infinite intelligence. It's divine intelligence. Now we simply have to understand how to control divine intelligence to our benefits. What I've done is just a fraction of what the world will do with scalar energy once they realize that this energy exists and that it can be harnessed and properly administered.
Absolutely. So I found it. So I'm going to share this with the audience. So this is a chart that I have in my toolkit. Let me turn off the blur feature because it won't work. But this is kind of fun. So this shows all the different bodies, right? The atmic body, the buddhic body, the causal body, the mental body, astral body, heart, intellect, etc. the spirit body, and the soul. So when Tom's talking about all these different planes that he's working on, these are like the chakras right here. And then they radiate out energy fields around us. And each one controls a different aspect of our being. Your emotions get stuck in your emotional body. Your dreams are more in the astral body, because when we sleep we travel to the astral realm. And you probably are familiar with this is the scale of human consciousness. I forget the guy's name who designed this. You might know his name, but these are the different frequencies of emotions that humans are dealing with in this 3D plane, in this existence on Earth. But when we say raise your frequency, we literally mean raise it, because you might be down here stuck in fear at 100 when you could be up here at 500 in love. And so the scalar wave technology is also like lifting your emotions in that sense as well.
All goes hand in hand. Some people have an athletic coach who's very upbeat and who drives the athletes. Well, that's part of it. That's scalar coaching. Positive affirmations. That's part of it. Those are the frequencies which some people say raise your vibration, or think positive thoughts. All of this works hand in hand now. We see that human thought, will, intuition, all of that is a scalar waveform. That's a scalar emanation. So there's a science behind positive thinking. It's scalar energy. There's a science behind will. There's a science behind intuition.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I guess with the, popularity of people like Greg Braden and Bruce Lipton, they've kind of merged science and spirituality, which is so beautiful, because
It is beautiful.
spirituality is science, and science is spirituality, because it's all energetics.
It is beautiful. What
Yes.
what do I like, Cherie, about what you and I are doing? We're on a higher plane. We're not on the lower physical plane. So the higher plane instructions, non-physical divine energy, instructs the physical state. Now, I've got nothing against the physical state, but I much rather be instructing than receiving the instructions.
Mm-hmm.
So, scalar energy, the divine light codes, that this is the superior force. Stick with the superior force.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Well, wonderful, Tom. Is there anything you'd like to share with the audience today, like
Well,
about the 15-day trial, or where they can learn more about this technology and your
the
work?
the 15-day trial, visit scalarlight.com, SCALAR light, LIGHT, scalarlight.com. You can send in photographs of your family with their permission. You can share it with friends. You can also send in photographs of your cats, your dogs, include your pets. Try it,
Mhm.
experience it. It's free, there's no obligation. And then I'll leave these parting words. The mind, the human mind, and the heart exhibit, emanate, broadcast scalar energy. This is why we're so fascinated about the mind and the heart. Our thoughts, our emotions are scalar waves. The science behind thinking and emotion is scalar energy, scalar light. That's the divine light code. Everybody has a mind, everybody has a heart. And the way you program your life really depends upon how well you can control, manage your mind and your heart. That brings you the divine light.
Beautifully said, Tom. Thank you so much for imparting that wisdom on everyone. That's really, I mean, couldn't have said it better myself. So thank you so much.
Sure.
And thank you for being a guest on the Divine Lunch Hour. This is our second episode. As you guys know, we've been hosting the Ascension Sessions since 2017. And now this is my new daytime show. So it's been an honor to have you on the show as a guest. And you're welcome back if you want to come back and talk about new inventions or new things again in the future. I'd love to have you.
Okay, thank you. I'd love that.
Yeah, thank you so much. Well, everyone, thank you so much for being here with us and spending your lunch hour with us. If you can please take note of Tom's website at scalarlight.com and go get your free 15 days of quantum healing. I think that you will definitely benefit from it. And also, please like and share this video with your friends. I'm sure you guys know somebody out there who could benefit from any kind of healing energy. So why not try something like scalar wave healing? I think it's a wonderful idea. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel so you can get more information like this, where we will be talking about all kinds of healing topics and energy and spirituality. And also you can find Divine Light Codes on Telegram, YouTube, of course, Facebook, Instagram, and also on TikTok at Divine Light Codes, and Twitter, although I'm not on there very much. So definitely keep in touch, and we will see you next time with Joan of Angels. She'll be our guest next Friday. What is that? May 12th, I believe. Right here, same time, same channel. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a beautiful day. Bye.